So I've always found it a struggle to live with disabled family relatives because it feels like, in a way, a one-way relationship because they are obviously struggling with their condition. And in my case, I have a father who has suffered from prolonged periods of schizophrenic depression, and I experienced sometimes months where he would, for example, come and say that everything was against him in his life and that he had to go away, and he would basically nag me for hours to persuade me to book him a ticket out. And obviously, that really had a detrimental impact on my sense of place. I mean, I would always dread being at home around him because I would always feel wary of what he might come up with, what negative thoughts he might have, and how that would impact his action. So this has been going on for about 20 years. Obviously, I still live with my parents and my twin brother, who's also been disabled for almost 20 years. He has multiple sclerosis. And again, he is somebody who always seems to be very bitter about that the fact that he had to basically develop this illness. And for example, people like me who even though we're twins, that I haven't, and I'm healthy. And in a way, I feel like he's resentful of that because sometimes, or for example, when he goes out and he says that he sees people that are not ill, and yet he's more active than them, and he's always mocking people, especially if they are overweight, and he always makes comments like, "Look at me, I've got a degenerative illness, a disability, and I'm more active and I'm in better shape than somebody who might not have a disability." But there's always this sense of that he's living out of a frustration and anger, and he tries to basically demonstrate that even though he's ill, he can function better than a normal person. That's obviously that's how his mindset is. And obviously, he also insults me because I struggle with depression. Like I've had periods of such extreme anxiety that I pretty much wouldn't get out of the house unless I had a specific purpose to do so. Whether it was a job, mostly to do with that. I mostly would go out to go to work because I didn't develop any. Because I came to live in this country when I was 10, and my school years I just couldn't integrate within the social environment within the schools. It was always it's been a struggle, and even in my adult years, because here young people tend to basically socialize around alcohol. I never really felt at ease and comfortable to do that, so I spent most of my youth lonely and basically craving for affection on online platforms because obviously I'm my generation, the millennial generation, those who were born like late 80s, late 90s, they were the first generation to pretty much grow up with the internet. So I spent most of my teenage years and 20s just going on chat websites, trying to connect with people. And I realized most of the people online, they also experience an existential angst about the connection that they had with others, their purpose, sense of direction, and a lot of them suffered with low self-esteem, low confidence, lack of vision for their how to live their life. So it wasn't encouraging. It was kind of like you felt like, wow, I'm not the only one experiencing this. And in a way, it made you feel even more sad and even more hopeless because you would think that you would meet people and they would have more of an idea and clarity about what they wanted to do with their life. But for me now, I've reached, I'm almost 40 now. Within the 3 years, I will be, and I'm thinking like I still haven't found an answer to my life, and in a way, I let my, I lived a long life now as an adult, almost 20 years, and it's like by now I should have found an answer, and sadly, the verdict is I haven't, and the thing is, with living around disabled people, you almost feel like alone. Like you live in in a care home kind of environment where they have just their own needs. They don't care about anything else. They just care about they're in their own thoughts and their own minds, where they're dealing with their own struggles, their own frustrations, and you feel uncertain around them because you don't know what they're gonna say, what they're gonna do, especially when you live around people who don't feel comfortable within their own environment anymore, and despise others around them, who don't trust others around them, and who don't care about others around them. So for me now, even though I live with my relatives, I don't find them to be people that I can really trust, that they can help me or help me to navigate a problem, or to kind of give me a kind word. It's always like you have to find it within yourself. That's my mindset. But let me know your, obviously this is a video about, specifically the people who are like me, who live with, family members who might have a diagnosed mental health or physical disability or health issue that's ultimately, not curable. In the case of my brother with multiple sclerosis, and I'm sure that even my father, he's never going to get out of his twisted thoughts anymore. So it's very frustrating because you feel like almost I live here because of financial reasons, because I've never been able to hold down a job consistently, mostly because I never liked any job that I ever went to do, and I always felt like there was no real sense of purpose other than earning some currency to be able to basically spend on the things that you need and want. And I found myself really struggling with very hopeless thoughts, or very almost defeated. And it's been very humbling in a way, because you realize how hard life can hit you, especially if you feel isolated, alone, without anybody that you can really trust, or that you don't feel loved. You feel like there's not really anybody that loves you or generally cares for you. But let me know your experience of feeling this way and living in a family with disability. Have you struggled? Have you managed to thrive? Have you felt even like held back by your relatives? Almost like they bring so much negativity to you that you feel like you're basically trapped in a negative space where you cannot thrive. You feel stifled. And that because that's what I've experienced here. I feel like because I'm isolated here, I feel like there's no one who cares about me, about how I feel, about how happy I am. That it's almost made me feel like, well, what's the point of continuing my life, because there's nobody that really cares for you. Let me know what you think. Look forward to your comments.